Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I will be sharing with you some of my thoughts on a new film called Shelby Oaks, directed by Stuckmann, starring Camille, Sullivan, Sarah Durn, and Keith David. The film focuses on a woman named Mia who investigates the disappearance of her younger sister Riley, who disappeared many years ago while investigating paranormal activities in an old abandoned town called Shelby Oaks. And while she has trouble convincing other people, she is certain that an evil entity that has plagued them since childhood may have been responsible for the disappearance of her sister. As I mentioned, this film is directed by Stuckmann, who is primarily known as a film critic on YouTube. Now, I have been following Stuckmann's channel for a very long time. Over the years, I have grown to appreciate how he articulates his opinions, and his passion for filmmaking really comes through in his analysis. And he's been talking about making a movie for a very long time. And personally, I owe a lot to Chris. He and I are both Ohioans. We both enjoy talking about movies, and we also enjoy making movies as well. And he is primarily the reason why I made a YouTube channel in the first place. Granted, I don't make as many videos as he does. I only make a video whenever I feel emotionally compelled to do so, or when I have a very strong enough opinion that I want to get it out there in front of an audience, at least to anybody who cares to listen. Because let's face it, in real life, I have trouble finding a person who is willing to listen intently to me raving or ranting about a certain movie. But honestly, this platform has become very therapeutic. I mean, talking to a camera is not exactly an easy thing to do. And not only that, you also have to watch yourself and listen to yourself speak when you're editing these videos. But over time, I've grown to become accustomed to it, and I've really grown to be more comfortable in my skin. And I wouldn't have started this journey without Chris's influence. So thanks for that, Chris. And I'm sure many of you know at this point that some time ago, Chris had made a very radical decision about not negatively reviewing movies on his channel. So now basically every video that you see on his channel is of a movie that he likes. If he watched a movie that he didn't like, he pretty much doesn't review it. Now, to an extent, I do understand where he's coming from. Recently, he had explained how trashing other movies and other filmmakers made him very uncomfortable. And for a while, he felt like he was under some kind of obligation or expectation to do so, and it took a toll on his mental health. Because he knows how hard it is to make a movie, he doesn't feel good about talking negatively about other movies. So now he dedicates his channel to be a celebration of cinema. And I understand where he's coming from. After all, why would you do something that makes you unhappy? And frankly, I don't blame him, because he is in a very precarious situation right now. He is now stepping away from film criticism and is now stepping into the film industry itself. And being in that world is tough. I mean, there are so many powerful and influential people in this industry that could either help or hurt your career. And I've lived in Hollywood for over 8 years, and I can tell you for certainty that there are so many people in the movie business that have such fragile egos. I mean, if you say or do one wrong thing, no matter how innocent or mundane it could be, if you cause them any mental or emotional discomfort because they have unresolved issues, they will blacklist you. And if you've been watching Chris's channel, especially the videos where he talks about his upbringing, you know that he knows what it's like to be shunned. So again, I don't blame him for not being critical on such a public platform like YouTube. However, I myself am a filmmaker, and I am not one to shy away from criticism. Now, I know it's very easy for me to say because I don't have that much leverage right now. I mean, I grew up on criticism. It's why I have the standards that I have. And I think that a healthy dose of criticism can always help you. I do not believe in trashing other people for the sake of entertainment. And I should also mention, back in 2022, Stuckmann started a Kickstarter campaign to raise money for this project, which resulted in over 14,000 people donating over $1 million, and I am one of those backers. However, don't let that fool you. Just because I put money into this thing does not mean that I'm not going to be critical. If I see something I don't like, I will tell you exactly why I don't like it. But first, let me tell you what I did like about Shelby Oaks. First of all, I like how the first 15 minutes of this movie was set up like a documentary, where everything is introduced to us through newsreels, stock footage, interviews, even old YouTube videos. It kind of reminded me of American Horror Story Roanoke, one of the seasons that I actually liked. Everything is established nicely. You get a good sense of who these characters are, what they strive for, and what mysteries need to be solved, especially for Mia. Not only is she suffering through some kind of grieving process because her sister has been missing for so many years, but also she's under a lot of public scrutiny. For one thing, Riley was involved with a group of YouTubers who were pretty much ghost hunters, and a lot of people were skeptical of their content, even to the point where Riley's whole disappearance was being considered to be a hoax. And that took a toll on Mia personally and on her marriage as well. And again, she has this theory that she and her sister were being stalked by this sort of demon, and nobody believes her. And she wasn't getting any help from the police because they already assumed that she was dead. So that level of frustration and desperation was very easy to compute. Also, I love how eerie this movie feels. Chris Stuckmann has always talked about his love of horror films, and you can tell from the way this movie is shot that he does have a good sense of how to create tension in an atmosphere that feels very unsettling. And I gotta give props to the cinematographer of this film, because for a low-budget film such as this movie does not look cheap. Also, I do like the little twist at the end, which was probably inspired by Chris Stuckmann's love for M. Night Shyamalan films. For those of you who don't know, M. Night Shyamalan is responsible for making films like Signs, The Village, or The Sixth Sense. And in the case of Shelby Oaks, I definitely was shocked by the end. It was a bit basic, but I was still taken aback by what transpired, and without giving too much away, you can see what Mia's obsession costs her in the end. And lastly, my favorite part of the film was Sarah Durn. Granted, Riley, the character that she plays, does not have a lot of screen time in this film, but she makes every second count. You see this very authentic sense of fear and confusion. I mean, Riley knows there is something out there. She just doesn't know what it is, let alone what she's supposed to do about it. And that's all I could say about her character, because if I go into too much detail, I could potentially spoil the movie for you. As for the rest of the cast, they all do a very decent job with what they are given. It's what they're given that's the problem. There are a lot of things in this movie that Mia does that just doesn't make sense. For example, in the beginning of the film, a guy comes to her front porch and shoots himself in the head, splattering blood all over her face. Hours later, after she's been questioned by the police and looked at by the paramedics, she is sitting on a couch next to her husband with the blood stains still on her face. Why? Those were one of the many moments in this film where I felt like Chris was more focused on the style of the moment rather than the logistics of the moment. Also, there was a lot of choices that Camille Sullivan was making as an actress that really felt inappropriate to the scene. It happened more often in the climax of the film. That scene was one of those moments where it's do or die, it's now or never. But because of the way she was moving, that moment did not feel dire at all. I mean, you would think after so many years of being obsessed with one thing that you would add a lot more urgency to this moment. The tension was written in the scene, but the execution really needed to be taken up a notch. Contrary-wise, there were also other scenes in this movie that really could have taken it down a notch as well. I remember there was another scene where Mia is watching old footage of her sister, and she was crying a lot in this film, almost to the point where I felt like she was emoting. She really could have taken it down a notch, or at least internalized her feelings a bit more. So that's the funny thing about this film. Chris Stuckmann added more to things that really required a lot more subtlety, and he added subtlety to things that really should have been amped up a bit more. And remember when I said that the ending felt a bit basic? Well, in actuality, the whole film sort of felt a bit basic. It had some good ideas, but I just don't think that those ideas were realized to their full potential. And the film does have tropes and story elements that are heavily borrowed from other films that I've recognized, such as Hereditary, Rosemary's Baby, The Blair Witch Project. Those tropes may have worked for those films, and they kind of do in this film on paper. But when you see the final product, I felt like it was an homage to the genre, but it had no personality to it. In the future, I do want to see Chris put more of himself into the film. I want to see what he sees through his lens. I think he definitely has vision, and he definitely has the ability to put a film on its own feet. He just has to put his own personal spin on it. Overall, I'd say that Shelby Oaks is a decent film. It is by no means a terrible film, and trust me, I've seen terrible films before. And let me just say this, even though I'm not a fan of horror movies per se, the reason why I gave money to this film is because I wanted to see Chris Stuckmann succeed. Chris Stuckmann has come to represent what perseverance and consistency gets you. And he has worked very hard to get to this point. Some people are all talk and no action. This guy is all talk and action. For years, he has churned out video after video, developing a huge fan base on his channel, which clearly served him well. He has written several scripts and managed to get this one off the ground and made into a fully realized film, and he managed to do that whilst balancing out everything else in his life: marriage, fatherhood, even obstacles that he had no control over, like COVID. He is a hard worker, he is dedicated, and he is committed. And on a more personal note, Chris Stuckmann has given me a sense of hope that someone like me could also succeed in this business. How can you not support a guy like that? But still, I do have to remain objective in this video, and so I'm going to give Shelby Oaks a C+. Thank you for watching my video, ladies and gentlemen. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you again next time.